Welcome to the GSMC Pets Podcast, the show that caters to pet lovers of all kinds. We'll talk about pets on social media, pets doing amazing things, and how to take care of the pets in your life. Whether your pet is a dog, a cat, a llama, hamster, reptile, or something more exotic, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Pets Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another GSMC Pet Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host with the most, Taylor Cowan. We're talking about pets today. We're talking about birds today. Yes, our feathered friends from the sky, our closest relatives to the dinosaurs. I don't know if you've ever seen a bird without feathers. It does look a lot like a dinosaur. It's got weird skin and claws and the gizzard. I actually don't think every bird has a gizzard, but I don't know, they got this weird skin under their neck. They look exactly like a dinosaur. I get why they say one came from the other. Excuse me, I got a little tickle in my throat today. Oh no, look out. I better not cough into the microphone. No, we'll be fine, everyone. You'll be fine just listening to me. I don't think you can contract the virus through the ear. But back to birds. We love them. I love them. We've got in my backyard, there's a whole, basically an aviary that we've created. And over time, we've attracted tons of birds. I recommend doing, if you got a big yard like I do, set up some bird baths and some sticks for them to come jump on, and in one summer's time, it will blow your mind how many crazy birds you will have coming to your yard. And it's really cool. You can get a bird book, a pair of binoculars, you can stare out into your yard all day and look at all the different types of birds, the eclectic group of birds you've collected. Now, if you have got cats, you should be careful. I've got a cat. And over time, we've had this great bird thing going, and then we brought the cat here, and it kind of threw a wrench in things. You let her outside, and next thing you know, there's a dead bird in your house. And it's very sad when you've spent all this time getting these birds to come. They'll stop coming as much if they think they're going to get eaten by a cat. But they'll still come. But yeah, we set up all these different types of bird houses, bird baths all over the yard. We got quail families that come now, all different types of birds. And it's pretty cool. I love it. I want to start, though, talking about crows. I think the crow is my favorite bird. I know the crow is my favorite bird. It's been established. I'm officially establishing it here. The crow/raven is my favorite bird. And a lot of people don't like them. I think a lot of people, they seem like bad omens, maybe. The Edgar Allan Poe and all, they seem very dark and edgy, but I think they are the most interesting bird to watch behave. They're super smart. They've done studies on crows and ravens where they have the same problem-solving skills as like a 5-year-old human. Doesn't mean they're as smart as a 5-year-old. 5-year-olds, humans are on a whole other level of consciousness, but to solve problems like a 5-year-old, faster than a 5-year-old can solve problems, it's pretty impressive to me. They can make a bunch of different noises. They've got like 33 different vocalizations. They come in all shapes and sizes. I forget what the name of the family is, because crows and ravens are in the same family, along with magpies, and there's a bunch of other different birds. They all kind of have the same body type. They all look the same, just bigger or smaller. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think people like them very much. Is it because they're big and scary looking? I don't know. They can be a little aggressive from what I've seen. But, I mean, how many incidences have you heard of a person getting attacked by a crow? It never happens. And maybe it's because when they're grouped up, they call it a murder of crows, which I actually feel like I read recently was not true. That's not their group name. I kind of like it. I think it sounds cool. Makes them sound like a gang or something. But no, I don't believe they are technically a murder of crows. It's something else. I think murder is just I don't know, maybe that term came to being after that Alfred Hitchcock movie that disparaged crows worldwide. No. The Birds. Have you ever seen that? It's a great movie. A great animal movie. In fact, if I could go back 4 episodes, and I would add that to my list of my favorite pet movies in the horror one. I think I'd replace Pet Sematary with The Birds. It's more classic. Everyone has a little fear of the birds after that movie. But maybe we're going to talk today about keeping a crow as a pet, at least for the first few segments. Is it a good idea? And I'm going to be straight up with you folks. And I was disappointed to learn this too, but the answer is no. No, they are not good pets. They, maybe if you have like 3, maybe if you're a licensed bird trainer and you have 3 of them and you've got a big enclosure in your backyard or something, then maybe a crow is right for you. Maybe. But from what I've looked up, they're messy. You can't really keep them inside. They'll ruin things. They take their giant, sharp beaks and they'll pull apart your couch. They'll pull apart anything they can. They get bored very quickly. They're loud. And they'll peck at you. Even if they like you, they'll just give you a nice little peck. So no, I don't recommend getting a crow as a pet. But in the coming segment, we'll talk about, if you did, what you could do with it. Because there's a lot of interesting, fun things that crows can do that other birds cannot do. Unless you have a macaw or something, which I will say is another good bird to have. I think it's the macaw. It's the big parrot that lives for like 85 years or something. You could just have it your whole life. If I ever have a kid, I'm going to get him a baby macaw at birth, and they will grow together. I'm going to burden my child with a pet before he can even speak, before he even knows what it is. I'm going to burden him with him or her. Who knows what I'll pump out. Anyways, crows, not a good pet. Messy. They roost. They ant. This is a thing I learned about crows today. They do a thing called anting, where they'll go stand on top of an anthill, and they'll let the ants crawl up their legs, and then they'll rub the ants into their feathers, and it prevents them from getting parasites, and also the acids, I guess, from the ants, the acids and the oils, they get the crows drunk. Yes. So that's a weird thing that crows do. They get inebriated on ant juice. So that's fun. What else do they do? That's cool. The ones in my yard. I'll tell you how I attract crows to my yard in the next segment. But they'll fly out. They'll come to the yard. They'll find all the nuts and whatever that I've laid out, and then they will fly over the house, over to the road, and they'll drop the nuts from the sky onto the road in hopes that they'll crack, or that a car will run over them and crack the nuts, and then they'll run out and get them. They're so smart. It's really insane what crows can do, which is why we're talking about them in the first two segments today. But like I said, when we get back, we're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, I am going to tell you what you can do with your pet crow that you probably shouldn't get. I did this last week too. I told you all these pets that you shouldn't get, but go ahead and get them if you want to. You know, you only live once. So I'll tell you what you can do with your pet crow when you get back. Enjoy the quick break. Talk to you in a second.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
And we are back, folks, and we're talking about crows. We just talked a little bit about crows and the birds in my backyard. These aren't necessarily pet birds. They feel like pets because they're in my backyard all the time, but I just watch them from afar through binoculars. But I do take care of them. You got to leave food out every day or the birds won't come back. They need, it's like a routine thing. You stop one for one day and they're moving on to somewhere else. So, you'd have to take care of them like a pet, even though they're not, technically. But I was going to tell you about, all the fun you can expect with your new pet crow. So, supposedly the first thing you're going to have to do is obtain the crow. Here's how this is going to happen. You can capture it illegally, which is rude. You probably shouldn't do that. But if you want to. I didn't capture any crows this way. I just attracted them in my yard this way. First thing you should do is put out decoy crows. Yes. I went to a Halloween store and just found these crappy little plastic crows, and I attached them to one of our bird houses in the backyard. And it was only a matter of time. So, decoy crow, set it up where it's visible, and that lets other crows know when they fly over that they're like, oh, hey, there's another crow chilling down there. Why is he down there? I want to know what he's up to. I don't know why he would hang out there. Must be a cool place. Decoy crow. Second, you're going to want to get some big nuts and kind of toss them around your yard. Peanuts work really well. Not salted, though. I learned that. They don't like the salt. It's not good for them. Unsalted peanuts. Big nuts that they can see from flying over. If they can't see them, they're not going to come. And if you're lucky enough to have a nut tree in your yard, then, well, it's all set up for you already. So, they'll fly over, they'll see the nuts, they'll see the crow. They're intrigued now. Now, this is for advanced crow seeking. And I don't know where you buy you must have to buy one online. I went to Cabela's and a bunch of places to look for a crow call. And I couldn't find one. So look it up online. I'm sure everything's online now. If you got a 3D printer, maybe you can find a design for one and make it in your own home. And you blow the crow call. And from the research I've done, I never did the crow call. I never tried it. But it's not easy to do. It takes time to master the perfect crow call. And I don't, they have 33 different types of vocalizations, 15 to 33, depending on the type of crow, depending if it's a raven or a magpie. They might have different dialects. So keep trying. Keep trying until you get the type of crow you want. I prefer crows and ravens. Magpies I just find to be annoying. I was swimming once as a child, and a magpie flew over the pool and defecated right into the pool. And ever since then, I've had a bit of a vengeance towards the magpies is coming. What if I defecated in their bird bath? I don't think they'd like that. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. If you want to do it the legal way, well, it's legal to attract crows to your yard as long as you don't try and capture them, like I had suggested. You're never going to do it. You'll be lucky if you can get the crow to even come near you. They're big birds. They're smart. They don't necessarily trust humans right off the bat. So maybe after years of close therapy with the birds, you sit out there, you meditate for hours while they pick nuts off your leg and then drop them on your head to try and crack them open. Maybe then they'll come and jump on your knee or something, and then as soon as you open your eyes, they'll fly away or peck at you. I don't know. But the legal way to get a crow is to get a permit. Yes. I'm pretty sure every state requires some sort of permit to keep crows. And for good reason. They don't make good pets. It would be cool if you had a raven or a crow. It would be a really cool pet. But much like, in my opinion, the snake or the poisonous lizard, do you really want that? Think about it. Do you really want a crow waltzing around your house? No respect for the rules. It's like having a monkey. It's going to get into everything. It's going to pull apart your doilies. It's going to no respect for bathroom rules. You can't train a crow to use the bathroom where you want it to use it. So you're going to have to basically partition off an entire room in your house. So if you got the space to do that, if you don't need your garage, maybe that would be a good idea. Maybe that would be a good place. But it's not something you want. Is it? I don't. They're loud. They caw, and they caw, and they caw, and they're nonstop. Unless, of course, you have a bird friend. I do recommend if you're gonna get a crow, you may as well get two. You're diving in, huh? Get two crows. You're set. It'll still be awful, I'm sure. It's still a lot of care to take care of. Leave it to the aviaries, is what I'm going to say. The crows at the aviaries, they're a lot happier. They're a lot more well taken care of than the one that would be in your garage. I want one so bad. I read a story once the other day. This is my idea. So crows, they're really smart. And I was reading a story about a guy who built a, basically a nut vending machine where you could put any coin in and it would dispense nuts. And he trained his crow and raven. I don't know if he had ravens or crows. I don't think it was a crow and a raven. I think it was one or the other. He trained them to fly around at picking up coins, and then they would come and put them into the vending machine, and it would dispense nuts for them. Brilliant scheme. Brilliant side gig. If you're willing to put in the hours and hours, years maybe, years of effort that it would take for some change in your pocket, more power to you. I think with the change that the crows bring you, you might be able to afford nuts to refill the vending machine that they put the change in. So it's kind of it's a cycle. It's a circular thing. You buy the nuts, they bring the coin, and maybe you can skim a little off the top. You got to pay taxes. I don't know what the tax market is like on that, the bracket. Do they tax donations by animals. I guess it's not really a donation. They are buying a product. They tax. Are animals susceptible to sales tax? Are you susceptible to sales tax, to pay sales taxes by products you sell to animals? I don't think you should be. This is America. There should be freedom of animal taxation here. Freedom from animal taxation, I should say. We might need to dive more into that in another podcast. Anyways, we're ready for another quick break here. When we get back, we're going to talk more about crows, some other birds. I'm going to tell you more about the birds in my yard, how to maybe set up a situation like we did back here, because it's worth your time. It was a worthy endeavor. I thought it was weird at first, but now I love it. I wake up in the morning and it's just, I'm woken up to birds chirping happily like I'm Snow White. So stick around. I'll see you in just a second.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we are back, friends. We're talking about the birds today. Not the Alfred Hitchcock movie. No. This isn't the famous animal horror movies podcast or the famous directors podcast. This is the pet podcast. We're talking about birds. And actually not specifically even pet birds. I'm telling you right now how you're going to set up your own aviary in your backyard. And this is a free range aviary, no fences, no cages, just bird houses, bird baths, bird feed, and little structures made out of sticks and logs for them to play on. Started this endeavor about probably maybe a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago. It's not important, but within that year, within the first 6 months, you will be astonished by the results. You'll have quail families coming in. You'll have birds from all over the world. I live in Salt Lake Valley, and we get a lot of migratory birds here. They come to the Great Salt Lake. They stop by, and they eat all the brine shrimp before their next leg of their journey. So I get a lot of birds here just by nature. But you can attract even more to your yard. Or if you're in a place where maybe there's not very many birds, this will help bring them. And you'll be the bird lord. I like that word, bird lord. That's going to be the name of my next band. We're the bird lords. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. What you're going to want to do is find an area in your yard where you think birds might go already, or there might be some. So what made us start this project is there was some quail in our neighbor's yard, and they'd come from under the fence. Our neighbors have like this crazy yard with super long grass that never gets cut, and like a horse. They have got a horse back there somehow. I know our neighborhood's not zoned for horses. I don't know how they're getting away with this, but it's back there. It's trotting around. Anyways, they got long grass, and there'd be this little quail family that would run into our yard and just kind of run around and, peck about. So what we started doing is right near the area of the fence where they would crawl under, we put like a little bird bath, and rested some sticks around it, and put some bird feed down and just waited. And next thing we know, they came same time every morning, around 8:30, 9 a.m. They show up and they'll hang out for a few hours. So you throw some bird food out. And the thing is, I said this earlier in the podcast, you have to be consistent with it. You have to do it every single day. No stops. You can probably miss a day or two. But, if you miss a week, they're not going to come back around. You're going to have to re-earn their trust. They're going to have to, if they see the food's not coming, they're going to be like, well, we're not checking that area really anymore. So it started with the quail family. We got that quail family coming every day. And then we were like, well, this is kind of fun. This is interesting. So we started setting up the same situation in different spots in the yard. Different types of bird houses, different types of seed. And in no time, all different types of birds are coming. Bluebirds, chickadees. I can't even name them all. My brother, this is more of my brother's project, really. And he can probably name all the birds for you. He's not here. But dozens of varieties of birds. And they just chill in our yard now. They love it. And we have a bunch of different bird baths. You want to make sure to replace the bird bath water often. They want clean water. If you have a way to have running water, that's probably even better. If you have some sort of fountain or something, they're going to have a heyday with that. But basically, 3/4 of our yard now is an aviary. And it's amazing. We just set a bird book at the back window with binoculars. And you can stare out and watch the magic take place. Like I said, it's like I'm Snow White. I walk outside, they land on my finger, they sing to me, specifically to me, sweet, lovely tunes, and then I fall asleep and I wake up and there they are again, singing their sweet, sweet tunes in my ear. Much better than an alarm clock, my friends. Much better than an alarm clock. And if you're feeling cocky, you can get yourself a rooster, and let him wake you up. But that's not, that's kind of a rude awakening, if you ask me. They're loud, they're obnoxious. In fact, I'm going to talk about chickens later in this episode, because I've had chickens before, and ducks, and they're actually quite fun too. I recommend chickens and ducks. Also, they can be pets. I've known people with ducks as pets, and it's not quite the same as a crow or a raven. Ducks are nice, but I don't know. I don't see them as pets, really. I see them more as fowl, just like backyard animals. I don't know, barn animals. I wouldn't consider the cow to be my pet. It's a different relationship, but we're going to talk about them, because if you're able to, you should absolutely have chickens in your yard. They provide countless benefits, and they're very low maintenance, in my opinion. It's kind of like the birds we have in our yard now. You just got to replace the seed, and you're good to go. We're about ready to take another break here. Man, this podcast is just flying by. These podcasts just fly by. I love them so much, but I have so much to say and so little time to say it. But we're going to talk about chickens next. Why you should consider maybe getting some chickens, some fresh eggs for your yard. Turn your yard into a barn like me. A barn in suburbia. That's the fun part about it. Because then neighbors come over and like, oh my goodness, I just have a swing set in my yard. And you're like, it's because you're wasting space. You're wasting precious bird space. So stick around. We'll talk about chickens in just a second. I'm going to send you off to our sponsors. Talk to you in a sec.
Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
And we are back, my friends, to the Bird Podcast, the pet podcast where we talk about birds. Just today, maybe next week we'll talk about something else. I'm sure we will. I'm going to have a new topic every week. 2 new topics every week. Maybe, unless we get something really interesting, and it's got to be a double feature episode. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on a special double feature episode where it leaves you on a cliffhanger at the end of the episode, and you have to come back to learn about how to properly groom your horse or something. Anyways, we were talking about chickens and ducks in my aviary in the backyard. Easy to set up. Find some sticks that they can hang out on, get a couple of bird baths, replace the water all the time, and just leave seed out all the time and watch your, what's that movie? If you build it, they will come movie. Field of Dreams? Yes. It's like that. If you build it, the birds will come. And you'll be forever blessed. It's good luck to have birds in your yard. It's a ancient, Caesar. He had birds in his yard. Alexander the Great, I'm sure, had plenty of birds in his yard. It's a sign of good fortune and wealth. Let's say that. Anyways, have you ever considered getting a chicken? We had a rooster at one point. We've had a rooster and then ducks. The way we obtained the ducks was my siblings found an injured duck, took it to the yard to heal, and next thing you know, its duck buddies found it. I swear to God, this is a true story. Its duck buddies found it. Next thing you know, we've got a few ducks in the yard, and we just kept them. They had babies. We had baby ducks. What you're going to want to do if you have ducks or chickens, I'll tell you the rooster story later. Maybe I'll say that for the last segment. My dog stories. Anyways, if you have chickens or ducks, you're going to want to build a very, very secure enclosure for them. Because there's these things, cute little creatures, but not if you're a bird. They're called raccoons. And raccoons, as fun as they sound and as cute as they look, I found baby raccoons in my yard before, and they are the cutest thing ever. Yes, I desperately wanted to keep them, but then after further research, I decided otherwise. The raccoons, they don't like the birds. And they will eat them aggressively, and it leaves quite a mess. We didn't build the enclosure until we started having raccoon problems, and the ducks were really smart. When the raccoons would come, the ducks would come and tap on the back window with their beaks, and be like, help us, please, and you'd hear quack, 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 quack. They knew we were the protectors. Unfortunately, we couldn't save them from that particular incident. We lost one. Rest in peace. But after the enclosure was built, they were much, much safer. So build a very tight enclosure. For chickens, they want like an indoor little house area, especially if they're going to lay eggs. And you're going to, partition it off. Like the ones you see in the movies. the elevated ones with the ramp, then you can remove the ramp at the end of the day, lock them in there, because raccoons are super intelligent. They're hyper intelligent. You want it elevated, because if it's on the ground, especially with like an open bottom, I guess if the bottom's closed off, you're probably good with it on the ground. But if it's wood bottom, it's going to rot over time, and raccoons will dig under it. They will find a way in, and they will eat your chickens. And also, the eggs are vulnerable to snakes and other things, another reason to have it elevated. However, snakes seem to get into everything. That's why I recommended last week we be rid of all our pet snakes. I don't know if anyone was irate towards that. I hope not. But they're bird killers. That's why I don't like snakes, because they're bird killers. I love my cat, but she's just a sports hunter. So snakes kill birds out of spite, and they eat it. Actually, it's probably better than being a sports hunter. So yeah, elevated coop, and you got 12 chickens, you got eggs forever. Occasionally, from what I've read, you're going to have to bring a rooster around. You don't necessarily want a rooster living there, because they can be aggressive, unless you want more chickens too. I mean, if you want more chickens, let a rooster hang out, and it will impregnate the chickens. I'm getting chicken and rooster confused here. It'll impregnate the chickens, and they'll lay eggs, and eggs that are fertilized, and they'll have babies. You'll have more chickens, which means more eggs, more food for you and your family. It's good to be self-reliant. Not everywhere is zoned for chickens. You should check with your city before you, embark on this endeavor. But for the most part, you're going to be fine, I think. Unless you have crappy neighbors, tattletale neighbors. And, as long as you keep your chickens in control. I've got a neighbor across the street. They keep their chickens in the front yard, and their chickens are just roaming into other people's yards, pecking at their grass. I don't know what the neighbors think about that. They don't seem to mind. I'm sure they get some free eggs out of it. But elevated, bring the rooster around every now and then, and that just kind of reactivates the chicken's hormones when you just bring it around and says, oh, I should still be producing eggs, because there's that big old rooster down the street. And they need that. They need that to keep producing eggs. They just need a rooster to come about, which is really interesting. That's all it takes. The rooster doesn't even have to do anything. But if you have a rooster that hangs around, they can be aggressive. Roosters are not docile birds. They can be mean. They can be territorial. They're like unneutered dogs. I don't know if you can neuter a rooster. I wouldn't recommend it, even if you could. I feel like he'll just be after vengeance on you now. And not that, a rooster is going to do that much damage to you if it attacks you, but it might hurt the other birds. So if you have two roosters in your yard, that's a mess, because they will just be fighting. You don't want that. Spring the rooster around every now and then, impregnates the birds, or just reactivates their egg cycles so they keep laying and you can eat their delicious eggs. And then you got to set up the coop in a way where you can either remove the ceiling or take out a wall and reach in there and clean it out. You want to clean it out frequently, or birds get sick. They get sick of their own diseases. Avian flu. You ever heard about that? You don't want your birds getting that. And you can collect all your eggs, put them right on your counter. You don't have to refrigerate them, folks. I don't know where that came from, where Americans think we need to refrigerate our eggs. I don't know if it might make them last longer, but I don't think they refrigerate eggs anywhere else in the world. They just leave them out on the counter, and then they eat them. Maybe they eat them sooner than we do. When we get back, we are going to talk about the ultimate bird, the macaw, the finest in bird technology. So stick around. I'll be back right after the break.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hey there, friends. We are back, and we are talking about birds today. Mostly chickens and not pet birds up until this point. We talked about how you could have a raven or crow as a pet. Not that you would ever want that, unless you're a professional trainer with a permit. The only legal way to possess crows and ravens. And then we talked about, making an aviary in your backyard, a very zen way to have birds, I'd say. They're not your pets, they're just there. They don't belong to you. You can't hold on to them. And that's the ultimate way to actually, have something. Say you want to take a drink out of a stream, you can't clasp the water with your fists. You have to pick it up with open hands, allowing it to be free. But it's still yours, in a way. So it's an amazing thing, birds. We're going to talk about the fabulous macaw. Now, this is a bird, folks, that requires a lot of care. So do not undertake it lightly. They're giant birds. I think they can weigh like 20 pounds or something. And a good thing to think about before you get one as a pet is maybe it's going to live 30 plus years. Yes, 30 plus years. And I've heard of macaws that, live up to 80 years old. And I don't know, but I think they might be endangered. So if you do get one, get it from a reputable dealer. Get some macaw that's, maybe been injured or, wasn't just captured from the wild. Because if they can be in the wild, they belong in the wild. Some of them are critically endangered, as a matter of fact, but they're beautiful. They're beautiful. I understand why you'd want to have one. They need a giant cage. If you get one, take that into consideration. They need a lot of space. Probably not just a cage. That seems cruel. You want, not a terrarium. I don't know what you would call it. An enclosure is what you're going to want. A cage, you don't want a spot where its tail feathers are touching the ground, or it will be irate. They're also very expensive to get off the bat. I think if you want to even just get a macaw, you're looking at, upwards of $1,000. And I'm going to say that's a minimum. Then you bring in the enclosure, the space it's going to take up in your house. It's not a walk in the park, not a fly through the park. But if you have the wherewithal to take care of it, you're going to love it. It can talk. You can learn it words. I need to learn myself some new words, apparently. But yeah, you can teach it words. You can teach it sentences. I think like short sentences. And I don't know what I would teach my macaw if I had one. Probably like a short Shakespeare line. I'd want it to seem classy. I'd want it to see you walk into my house and, it spouts off some Shakespeare. You're like, oh wow, Taylor, you're quite the class act, aren't you? Your bird recites Shakespeare and Hamlet. Very expensive, lots of care, but you're going to have it for 30 years. And typically, some of the things you might have to worry about if you get a macaw, feather destructive behaviors. They'll pluck out their own feathers if they are not happy. And that's not good for them, obviously. You got to get them toys. You've got to get them, like I said, a large enclosure. Ideally, I think, like the crows, they're social creatures. You want to maybe have two. So you're looking at another $1,000 there. But, it's worth it for the health of your bird, I'd say. They have a lot more. The thing about macaws is, yeah, they can talk. They can be fun like that. Polly want a cracker, yeah. But they can also, like crows and ravens, be really loud and annoying. Yes. Especially if they are not entertained. They have piercingly loud screeches. Which is one of the things it's always kept me from getting a bird myself that you keep inside. They're loud. They're obnoxious. I think they kind of stink. Have you ever been to an aviary or the bird thing at the zoo where you go into the greenhouse looking thing and then they put you in a separate room and they say, all right, here they give you the lollipop thing with bird feed on it. All right, everyone, now you're going to go in there and they're going to swarm you and it's really loud and annoying, but get ready. Those are actually really fun. Maybe that should be, if you don't think you can handle a bird at home or in your backyard, you don't want to set up your own aviary like we have, go to the zoo or a state aviary and go get one of the bird feed lollipops, go in and just hold it. And they'll come and land on your shoulder. That's the thing that's about as close as a bird as you want to get. Especially if you don't want to take care of it. Go see one. It might get your fix. And maybe go do that before you even consider buying one. Go to an aviary, go check them out, see what they are like, see if that's something you actually want in your life. I can tell you there's plenty of times I've gotten things in my life and then decided, this isn't exactly what I had counted on. I don't really necessarily even want this. So, yeah, remember to go check out the birds before you just jump into buying one. But macaw's amazing bird. Super endangered, though. So, like I said, make sure you get one from a reputable dealer. I don't know what that looks like. I've seen them in pet stores before. Very rarely. So you might have to search hard. But, you don't want to just go on the internet and find some guy who's selling macaws out of his basement. I can imagine he did not get those reputably. But I don't know. There's certain papers I'm sure they have. So there's certain certifications you should ask for. You'll have to look those up. Google. That's where I look everything up. Or ask Jeeves. Anyways, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be back. I'm going to tell you some stories about my rooster. My rooster and my trouble with dogs. So stick around. I'll see you right after the break.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
We are back, friends, for the final segment of today's Pet Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, of course, as always. We talked about birds today. We talked about ravens, crows, chickens. Get some chickens. Get some eggs. My friends, feed upon them. And treat your chickens well, too. They're great birds. They actually, when you have them for a while, they get to know you, and you walk outside and they all gather around awaiting their feed. It's a lot of fun. They're nice birds. Or ducks. You think you can eat duck eggs too. I don't remember what duck eggs tasted like. I was very young when we had the ducks. But I'm sure they're fine. Maybe they're, a little more sour than chicken eggs or something. I don't know. I'm going to tell you a story, though, about strange dogs and our first rooster, who we lost in a horrible, horrible accident. I was a young man. I was probably in about second grade, and I was out in the neighborhood playing with my chums, having a good old time. And who comes trotting down the street but this big old golden retriever. No collar. No idea where he's coming from. And I should have just let him be. I should have just let him keep roaming the neighborhood. I'm sure he would have gone home. But I was worried about the guy. I named him Honey, because he's a big, sweet, looked like Winnie the Pooh. And we brought him to my backyard. And in our backyard lived my brother's beautiful, beautiful blue ribbon winning rooster, Cockademus. Cockademus, great bird. Not very friendly, but a great bird. Beautiful bird. Beautiful feathers, beautiful beak. Talons. Talons as sharp as a Japanese chef's knife. But Honey was hanging out in the yard. We took a little trip to the dollar store. I was having a sleepover that night. It was going to be a great time. We got some balls, we got some candy, some treats. And we came back home. And this is really sad, folks. Cockademus was strewn out on our back steps, dead as can be. It kind of looked like, if you've ever seen like pictures of Romeo and Juliet, where there's like strewn on the steps, poisoned. It looked a lot like that, with a little more blood. But the lesson here is, folks, sometimes, if you got fowl in your yard, don't bring strange birds into your yard. I have another story. I had a husky dog. Then this one I was a little older, and I had brought him from Brooklyn. I had him in a Brooklyn apartment, and we're going to actually talk about that next episode, is how to take care of pets in a enclosed space like an apartment, especially a big dog like a husky like I had. Anyways, I brought him back to Utah from Brooklyn, and I thought, this is great. Huge backyard, lots of space for her to run free. I've been calling him the whole time. Sorry, it was a she. Her name was Zima. Beautiful, white, blue-eyed husky. Bring her back to Utah, and I'm thinking, all my problems are over. She is going to be free and happy. I'm not going to have to worry about waking up at 6 a.m. to take her to the park. Dreams. Problem solved. Anyways, my husky learned how to climb the fence almost immediately after moving into the place. So she would climb the fence and just go roaming. I'd have to go find her. She would come back eventually, every now and then. Anyways, one night she goes missing. I'm searching all night, can't find her. So I just leave the back door open and the back gate and hope for the best. Anyways, at about 6 a.m., I wake up to her jumping on my bed. And it's like, oh, look, I'm back, all muddy and wet. I'm like, great, this is great. Just thank God you're back. But seriously, it's like a bad teenager. Like, where have you been all night? Have you been drinking? And she was missing her collar, which was unusual. I was like, great, so your collar's gone now. Now I really can't let you out. So I left her inside when I left for work that day, which was also, if I left her inside, she'd make a mess of the house. If I left her outside, she'd escape into the neighborhood. So I left her inside, and I said it was worth it. I don't want to lose her again. I'll figure out somehow to keep her in my yard somehow. What ended up happening is at my lunch break on work that day, I get a call. I get a call on my cell phone, and I pick up and I say, hello. And on the other line I hear, is this Taylor Cowan? And I said, yeah, this is Taylor Cowan. What's up? They said, this is Farmington Police Office. We are here at your house with animal control. We're knocking on your door. We can hear the dog inside. We found your dog's collar today at the scene of 36 dead chickens. And immediately my heart dropped. And I started doing the math in my head. I'm like, all right, so it can't be more than $20 a chicken, right? So I'm like, 20 times 36. And I was broke at the time. More broke than I was in even this economy. So alarms are going off in my head. I'm like, oh no, I'm ruined. I'm bankrupt. They're coming after me. So he said, fortunately for you, the family wants to handle it civilly, so we gave them your number. Expect a call from them soon. Never heard back from them. I have an assumption that it was some neighbors down the street, but they never called me, so I never ended up having to pay for the chickens. But just make sure your dogs stay inside, because what happens is once they get the taste of blood, the joy of killing, they do not want to stop. And that was the first bird incident with that dog. Again, she escaped another time and went down the street and maimed my neighbor's duck. And not only was it a duck, it was their 5-year-old daughter's pet duck, beloved pet duck. And apparently the story is the husband was home and he was in the shower and he looked out the back window and saw his lovely daughter's beloved duck in my dog's mouth by the throat. And he ran out, wrestled it away. And I got slung with the duck's vet bill. Yes, the duck's vet bill. And it was not cheap to fix a maimed duck. The duck lived. Thank God bless us. The duck lived, and my dog went back to jail, doggy jail. And what happens is, at least in Utah, I don't know about other states, you got 3 strikes. So, first strike, pay $100, get your dog out. Second strike, $200. This was my dog's second strike. Third strike, which happened eventually, is basically they say, look, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build a 6-sided enclosure in your yard, and we're going to have to come inspect it, and then you can get your dog back. And that's when I had to part ways with my dog, sadly. I wasn't ready to take care of it at the time. I didn't have the money. I certainly didn't have the money to build a 6-sided enclosure. Luckily, the dog got sent away to a nice foundation where they specialize in winter dogs, like huskies and Malmoots. Is it Malmoos or Malmoots? I think it's Malmoots. And dogs like that. So she was in a better place. She got sent to a better home. Anyways, folks, had fun talking about birds today with you. Talking about my dog maiming stories. Remember, keep your dogs away from the fowl, the neighborhood fowl. The whole neighborhood will be better off for it. I promise you. Thanks again, folks, for tuning into the GSMC Pet Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Remember to head over to our Facebook. Befriend us. We're your friends. You're our friends. We're all listening to each other, keeping in touch in these trying times. Head over to the Instagram page, the Twitter, and leave us a good 5-star review. I'm your host, Taylor Cowan. I'll talk to you next week.
You've been listening to the GSMC Pets Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.